Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2006 James Bond film, Casino Royale. The first outing for Daniel Craig that was directed by Martin Campbell and of course stars Daniel Craig, Eva Green, Judi Dench, Jeffrey Wright and Mads Mikkelsen. Now, after the release of No Time to Die, which I have reviewed on the channel, which you can find on the channel right now, I thought I would revisit all the Daniel Craig films and put reviews up for them because I haven't covered them before on the channel. In fact, I don't think I've covered any Bond films apart from Spectre, which I reviewed when that was first released on the channel, which I probably will review again because it was one of the earliest reviews that I did on the channel, so I'll probably review that again as part of this series of Bond reviews that I'm doing. Now, I remember at the time when Daniel Craig was cast as James Bond, there's always huge speculation, as there is right now, because we know that No Time to Die was the last James Bond film that Daniel Craig is going to do. So we're here again, as we were back in 2005, when I think it was 2005 when Daniel Craig was announced. I remember how he was announced when he went across the Thames in the boat with the life jacket on and all that kind of stuff. It was a huge headline news in the UK. It was on News at 10, the leading story, the whole shebang. It's a huge story across the world, but especially in the UK. And I remember the British press, as they do, were not particularly kind to the casting of Daniel Craig. They called him James Blonde and all this kind of stuff. It was, I mean, for those of you who are watching this in any other country than the UK, trust me, the British press and the British media are as bad as you hear they are. They really are horrific. So consequently, I wasn't looking forward to this new chapter of James Bond initially, and then we got Casino Royale, and it was lauded by everybody, rightfully so, as this new, improved, rebooted, gritty, grounded James Bond. And many people point to the Bourne franchise for being responsible for forcing Bond to rethink and reboot, and it probably did have some influence on it, but also the fact that the Pierce Brosnan films, apart from probably the first couple, we just got a bit ridiculous, really, in regards to the gadgets and the effects and the over-the-top storylines, and it needed to be brought back down to earth, and boy did they do it with Casino Royale. The first Ian Fleming novel that obviously it has been filmed before twice, I believe. There was like a TV play in the 50s where it was made, and the guy was called Jimmy Bond, not James Bond. And then obviously in the 60s it was made into like the spoof film with Peter Sellers and David Niven. And then it took them a long time to get the rights to make this film. And then when they finally got the rights to make this film, because it was James Bond's first mission, they had to recast Bond, really. They couldn't use Pierce Brosnan anymore, so they needed to recast. So the whole process they went through to cast the new James Bond. There was a few names in the hat, including people like Henry Cavill, Hugh Jackman, I think, Ewan McGregor, and obviously we know Daniel Craig got the role. And Casino Royale for me it doesn't feel like a Bond film. I just watched it last night with my wife, and my wife has never seen any of the Daniel Craig James Bond films. She's not a fan of James Bond, to be fair, which I understand. She sees James Bond as like the over-the-top gadgets and this kind of stuff, and she just can't get into them. But I reassured her, says, look, try Casino Royale. We'll watch it together and see what you think of Daniel Craig. And she absolutely loved it. She really enjoyed it. And the reason why she enjoyed it is because it was exciting, but it was grounded and gritty, and it felt real. And that is the real strength of this film, the fact that it felt real. Presented this flawed character, really, James Bond, and it didn't feel like a superhero when you watch this film. It felt like it could hurt, and I think one of the best scenes in this film is that scene when he kills those guys on the stairwell, and then he's got to go in the bathroom and clean himself up and compose himself before he goes back to the poker table. And you very rarely ever see that from Bond, that moment of vulnerability. And I pointed that out to my wife when we watched it. I said, "You just look at this. This is the new Bond that we're being presented with here." And that scene where he's just washing himself down and composing himself to go back in to play this game of poker, I think really highlighted what this new Bond was all about. And it was thoroughly enjoyable rewatching Casino Royale. It's a few years since I've seen it. And as I've explained before, I am not a super fan when it comes to James Bond. I grew up on the James Bond films, primarily the Roger Moore films, so I've got fond memories of watching the James Bond films, on bank holidays in the UK, watching the Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker and Live and Let Die for the most part, the Roger Moore ones. But obviously now, as I've grown up, I've come to appreciate all the different Bonds for a lot of different reasons, and obviously recognise that Sean Connery is probably the definitive Bond. But honestly, probably Daniel Craig is a fairly close second in regards to this portrayal of Bond, because he feels real. Like I say, he doesn't feel like a superhero. He doesn't feel like he's been just ripped from a cartoon or from a page. He genuinely feels like a real person that can be hurt with real emotions, and you see that a lot in this film. So it's a massively strong entry into the James Bond franchise, Casino Royale. It does the novel justice. The action set pieces are spectacular, but also there's some really good dialogue in it. It's smart, it's clever, and for me it's an absolute knockout of the park win for me. So I'm going to give Casino Royale a very strong 9 out of 10. A brilliant James Bond film first, but also a great action film as well at the same time. It doesn't feel specifically like a Bond film. So coming up next is Quantum of Solace. I've only ever seen that one once for obvious reasons, but I will feed back to you and give you a review on that once I've watched it. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you like this review, and I will be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very soon.